Hey guys, figured I'd start an impromptu streaming tonight. Uh, just working on some stuff for some friends, working on some stuff for myself, just kind of hanging out. Feel free to hit up the chat, and if I see you up there, I'll answer. Otherwise, it'll probably be pretty quiet night streaming here. Like I said, just let me know if you want to talk or hang out. Come on by. Just working on some logos, just working on some illustrations tonight. Hey, how's it going? Keep forgetting I have a microphone, so I keep trying to keep trying to just type it in chat. Hey, thanks for hosting, man. That's great. I'll probably mostly be quiet here because I'm used to working by myself, but I'm trying to get back into streaming here, so let's see how it works. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to coloring in it. I actually like it uh, a lot better now. Like now that I've got some tricks and stuff to do, like uh, more kind of gradient stuff. Like you can kind of see some lighting and stuff over here that I've done. I've always used a cell shaded approach anyway, so it's like I use so like filling is really easy, especially if you close your lines up, which sometimes I don't do. But um, even if you don't fully close them, it's still a little easier to do. So I kind of like it. I don't. I never really colored in Photoshop anyway. I used to do all my vector stuff in Flash, which is now Animate, just because Flash was like my program to use on like everything. So that's usually where I went to do, everything. So anymore is like in that I would have to like create lines and then fill the section and then delete the lines and all this other stuff. So now it's just as simple as just drawing. And when I do my shading, I use vector layers, so I don't have to be super neat with it. And if I cross a line, I can just use the vector eraser to erase the stuff that goes over, which is why I love inking in Clip as well. Um, but you know, it's I've been doing it now for a couple years, so I'm pretty used to it. And it's been about a year since I've started like really kind of trying to bump up my coloring, um, and really go from more than just cell shaded, but to also add some lights here and there with overlay layers and other layers like that. So I think I'm getting there. I'm getting better. I'm still not where I want to be, but um, you know, getting there. So improvement's good. If I think that I'm improving, then that's good because you're always your hardest critic and everything. But um, I wasn't I wasn't super comfortable at first either, man. So like you just kind of have to jump in to do it. So like right now I'm gonna go into uh, so like I've been doing so with the Night Avenger here. He's my Batman archetype for this comic that I'm making called Archetypes, um, and so I'm gonna go in and start shading him. So if it'll look, like especially with like the cape and stuff, I could just like I don't have to be neat at all. Like I'm gonna start like probably up here and just make a line, and then I'll fill in underneath that line, and then just erase the overlaps. So I'm gonna go and do that now, so you can just see what I'm doing. And depending on the character and what color they're using, will depend on like what color I actually use. Like yeah, lately I've been using like not black, but like dark blue. Um, it's pretty dark, but it's not like black like I used to use black for everything. And now I'm trying to get into more color theory stuff, which has always kind of been a downfall for me because I'm slightly colorblind and like not super bad colorblind. Like everything is the same color, but if it's like two similar colors, like I can get confused and like military greens look brown to me for the most part. So like when I was coloring this guy, like a lot of these greens are probably way greener than they would normally be on army fatigues. So it's just like I know it's supposed to be green, so I used a green that looks green to me instead of brown. But yeah, like so with this guy, like I'll use whatever color I'm gonna use. Usually I'll throw it down to about 25 to 30 opacity, and then I'll just like go right in on them. So light's probably hitting from over here from all the other characters on here. So I'm gonna try and so like if I do this fold right here, it's just kind of how I do it, and then just I'll fill in from there. And there's probably actually an easier way to fill in that area, but there's something about it's probably something that we learn when we're kids because you color with crayons and you color like that. And then I'll just come in here and I've got my vector eraser, so I'll just pop those off, and then there's my shadow for that. I'll probably do that right here too. It's kind of hard to. Sometimes I'll actually go to my color layer and pull those down a little bit, just so I can see like something like, oops, helps if I'm on the right layer. So then you can see like this right here that kind of overlaps. and then I'll go to my pen and just go to this and like finesse that line a little bit. So now I know I only have this section shaded, which is what I wanted. And then with this one, I'll do this probably. Hit my eraser here and here and here, 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 and then I'll fill in all this here and down here for that fold of the cape. And then here I'll probably do another one like this, which might not make sense anyway because I'm not super great with lighting either. But you know, we're all learning, and you know, we'll all get there at some point. But it works for me. It works, you know, as long as it looks good overall. And even after I get done with the cell shading part, I go in and I do one layer of shadow, like one gradient shadow and one gradient light, which also probably a lot better ways to do what I do with it, but it's working for me right now, and I'm sure I'll learn from there. I know this little area is going to be shadow. So then there's some shadow there. Then I can come back down here and pull this back up, and yeah, it works for what it is. And I could probably makes more sense since this is a swing over here. I should probably do more of like a different shape on that shadow, but I'll probably adjust it later. Oh, thanks, man. Like, yeah, I love. I was real gunshot. Like, I had like an older copy of Clip back when it was just Manga Studio, and the UI used to be real garbage on this thing. So like, I opened it up once and I went nope, and closed it up and just kind of forgot about it, and then they adjusted it to where it was more, you know, user friendly and looks more like an Adobe thing, more like, you know, what we're used to with, you know, your layers and everything looking good, your tools and everything looking pretty much where they're supposed to be. So I reopened it, and I had these pens, these brushes from Friendon, which I also used. I also had his Photoshop brushes. I keep calling them pens and pencils. And I used to always draw on paper, scan it in, and then do stuff after that. But once I got his brushes, when this was years and years ago, I got his brushes and I started sketching in Photoshop. So finally I was like, oh, I can sketch. And I had a Cintiq, so I really should have just been taking advantage of, you know, doing that. But I would still kind of sketch on paper because I wasn't getting that quality that I wanted. So I got his brushes, and that was a real game changer. And I just started sketching in Photoshop a lot, and I would do like a lot of blue line stuff and everything. And then I saw how well the brush engine worked in Clip Studio, and I haven't looked back. Like, as soon as they got the UI looking good, I had a whole bunch of his brushes that would work in Clip as well. So I you know, plugged those in, and I use vector layers for my lines, and it really. I mean, I kind of, you know, I use the stabilizer on it. Like, the stabilizer is cranked all the way up, but like, you know, I still like, you know, you'll have to adjust your lines and everything here and there, but I just, you know, I've really learned pen pressure. I've really learned like taking more big swooping motions to draw and stuff instead of just like, you know, sketching and stuff like that. Like, I use the flexible nib almost exclusively, and so like, I used to, you know, kind of draw, you know, you kind of over and over and over, but like, once I learned that you can just like, you know, it's gonna save my file. There we go. And once I learned that you can just kind of like really kind of like draw these big like swooping stuff, and like the control and the line weight, like you can really just kind of like like really get real light, like even real sketchy or get real heavy. It's just all of it was like, all right, this is where I'm gonna do all my stuff now. So I'm really loving it. Um, Hopefully it'll never go away, which I doubt it because it seems to be like a pretty huge um, standard anymore for comic creation and stuff. So real happy. And actually, I had been doing a web comic from start. I think I started like 2004, 2005. I was doing a web comic called Kiosk Life in Neutral, and I did that, kind of on and off for years and stuff. And I did all that in Flash, so I had like all these kind of had libraries built where I was um, reusing characters, but would like change the pose up a little bit and change the face and the hand movement and stuff. And once I started drawing in Clip Studio, I was like, man, now I can do it right, right, quote unquote. And I can just draw. I can actually draw it all. And so the last few that I did in here until I kind of like I either had too much work coming in from clients, or my sites kind of went elsewhere. Like I was still doing Kiosk when I started what used to be called Interstellar Squad, which will now be called Portal Jumpers. But that's going to be an animated thing now instead of comic, which I did about almost 30 whole pages. I almost did a whole comic book full of pages for that. So I was kind of doing both at the same time. And then just out of nowhere, I started doing hashtag parenting, and that really kind of took off pretty quick. Like that hit an audience pretty well. Like people were really kind of reacting to that one a lot more than either of the other two. So that kind of took my attention, and I've done almost 260 strips for that over the past. Let's see. I think my oldest son, well, he was in preschool when I started it, so that was 5 years, like 6 years ago, because he'll be in 6th grade this year. So, I did the first 3 of those in Photoshop, and then I've done every other one, including like extra stories and all the book covers and stuff I've done in Clip Studio. Like it's just that's where I'm doing stuff. I still don't care for the text editor in this. I think doing comics is fine in it because the word balloons and everything. But if you need to do like some kind of dynamic text that like curves or something like that, I still revert back to Photoshop to do that kind of stuff because it just doesn't. It still doesn't have quite what we need to do everything here. I'm kind of trying to turn my music down so I can hear myself talking. I'm gonna get back to shading. Let's go over to scene. Yeah, it's as far as text goes, like like I said, word balloons are great because they have like built-in word balloon stuff. Like you just have to select the shape the oval shape, or if you want a thought balloon, it'll do kind of a rudimentary. It's got like a preset for clouds, like a thought balloon type cloud, but I don't ever use that. I always just use the oval tool for the word balloons, and then the tails. It's easy to get tails on your word balloons and stuff. And there's different things you can do to manipulate, like the strokes and all that other stuff. You can go in and adjust those if you want to. And again, there's probably lots of other people that have easier ways to do some of the adjustments than I know. But yeah, if you're doing like a big sound effect and you needed to kind of like come from a point and kind of curve or be like, you kind of have to either do each letter by itself and adjust it and everything, or you you go into Photoshop and you do that in either afterwards or you know, some kind of switch back and forth if you want to, which shouldn't really be the case. You uh, shouldn't have to do two different programs for comic creation. I mean, maybe the EX version has a better text thing, but I don't have the pro the super. I have the pro version, but not like the pro EX version that has like the multiple pages and stuff. So I just kind of have to keep my own organization system, which I don't care. This is the version that I bought when I was super broke, and you know they had that, you know, their awesome sales that they have every year, multiple times a year. That, you know, you're paying like 30 some bucks for a program that's awesome. And I know that Friendon just had a sale not that long ago. I think I retweeted it a couple weeks ago when he had his brushes on sale. Yeah, yeah, right. Don't ever pay full price for this program. It's, you know, they have so many sales on it. It's kind of ridiculous. Which is great, especially because I mean that means that they care about, you know, your average person that can't like afford an Adobe subscription, which, you know, I have to do for work. But you know, something with that. I'll also do so when I'm shading, like I do cell shaded layer of shadow, and then I'll do a cell shaded layer of light, which is usually I'll just pick out like some, you know, certain parts that should, you know, catch the light. Like on him, I'll probably use, you know, hit back here, and these folds in this side of his arm, and probably the side of his body, and up here in the back of his head. That'll actually catch them, probably up here too. That'll actually catch light. So I'll do that, like a highlight, and then I'll turn down the opacity on that, and I might play with the actual way that it blends, the actual blending mode. So I do color layer, cell shaded shadows, cell shaded lights, and then I'll do a gradient shadow layer, a gradient light layer. Where what I do is I go back to go to the color layer, and I select like everything that's just that shape, and then I'll add a layer, like I'll add a raster layer, and use for lights depending on the color of the light, like so he's gonna be catching light from like everybody, so I'll probably use like a yellowish orange, maybe yellowish orangish light coming this way. Off of him it'll be like I'll use like a rounded gradient to hit here, and then I'll play with the opacity in the blending mode, and then using that same selection I'll make another raster layer, and then I'll do a gradient that goes from 0% alpha to, you know, whatever for the dark thing. And I usually use about the same color of the shadows as I use here, and so that'll sit on top of that. Then again I'll play with the opacity layers and everything with that. Which I think turns out looking good. Like I really like the way this guy turned out, and he's got both of those going on. Like he's got the cell shaded layers. I didn't do I don't think I caught light on him at all, just because the material that he's wearing, I don't know, wouldn't really catch it like a cape would kind of catch it better. You can see I did it on Faceless here. Like that's the name of this character. He's got a couple little catches of light, but then like he's got that yellowish light, and it's coming from like right here. I mean, he's got a cigarette lit, he's got a gun blast, and he's got this bluish gun which also gives off a little bit of a bluish light here, and then you can kind of see like a darker gradient. And I'll go in, like when I do that layer, I'll use a real soft eraser, and I'll, you know, kind of softly take away certain areas that should still show light. Like here, I think the gradient like went kind of out, so this was real, like this area here was real dark, so I had to like kind of use a soft thing to kind of soften that shadow up. But I'll probably get to his shadows this time, So I think I'm just gonna do him tonight, and then I'll probably go hit the hay because I worked out before I came in here tonight, so I'm a little tired. But let's get back to shading the Night Avenger. Still thinking of a name for a sidekick. Still thinking of a name for this guy. Still thinking of a name for her. But these are. This is going to be basically, it's your basic like Justice League, Avengers type group. I just want to tell a fun superhero story. This is Faceless, and he has energy powers, and he can change shape. He's a shapeshifter. This is like just your Punisher military Sergeant Rock type dude, and I don't have a name for him yet. This back here is a character that I've done a few times just in passing. It's Freezer Burn. He's got ice and fire powers, and he's more like your younger kid, like Spider-Man type, but obviously he can fly because he's got fire. Fire, for some reason, everybody with fire powers can fly. And this is Mr. Awesome, and he is your superhero or Superman, stereotypical Superman character with super strong. He can fly, all that good stuff. So, and he's obviously the Night Avenger looks a lot like Batman because he's basically Batman, but he uses these like hard metal like knuckles. But I'm thinking about giving him kind of like an electric lightning shock around it. So when he fights, he kind of also zaps you. So I'm still working out the details of the storylines and stuff, but I want it to be a lot more lighthearted than a lot of the stuff you see around anymore. Like you see, everything seems to be just like weight of the world and overly violent, and I want this to be like the stuff that we grew up with. It was a lot more kid friendly and almost silly to today's standards, but but this is going to be cover for issue 1, and I'm thinking maybe 4 to 5 issues when everything's said and done. And I actually did a cover. I did the inks for a cover for issue 2. Let's see if I can't open that real quick. I think I have it on my drive. Let's see. Which the other cover I did on my my tablet PC laptop thing that I bought last year, which I'm still getting used to. Like I have Clip Studio on it, and the pen movement and the feel isn't quite the same, but it's really good. It's really nice, and the more I get used to it, the better. Did I not put it on OneDrive here? Here. I think this is it. Yep, there it goes. There's the second. This will be the cover for the second issue. So I left, room up here for the logo I haven't created yet. But Freezer Burn's been punched out by this big dude. His name's Brickhouse. And then I haven't named her yet. But these are a couple bad guys here for our good guys to face off against. So having a lot of fun with these. More like I finally found for a while I struggled with how I drew superhero types and like quote unquote comic book style stuff, and I finally like, because my original style is like so cartoony. Like I do like cartoon stuff, like just it's, round heads and in noodle arms and stuff like that. And I was just like, how would I draw big dudes and superheroes and all that good stuff. So like, I finally kind of settled in on like a blending of cartoony and your typical comic book, big muscly people. So I'm really happy with the way that my style's kind of developing on these. So again, I left a lot of room out here. The archetypes up here probably get a little obscured by him and over here, but that's what happens with title logos. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it too. So, let's see what happens with it. Plan is to, make it a Patreon exclusive, and then maybe do some, I don't know, some kind of print run through one of the crowdfunding endeavors. Keep forgetting that I set my hotkeys on my Cintiq for Control Z. Probably because I have to reload my drivers every third week. So I gave it a little light there. So I might not have to do that little light later. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Like, well, I'll take the time to set them with those hotkeys. I'll take my time to set them, and then, I'll lose my driver. My drivers just die here and there, like they disappear. Cintiq's drivers are ridiculous. So like, usually I'll set like each one of them will have something different. Now I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll just set the Control Z and the pen buttons, and that's it. Oh yeah, my stream. I actually used it tonight. I actually hit. I hit stream. I hit record. I hit my intro. So super proud of myself. I can say that I used it twice now. Which again, I'm sure I'm only using it in the most moderate way possible, but it helps me remember that I, don't have to hit Control R, Control X, Control whatever I've got those set up for in there. So it's just like beep beep beep. I'm sure using a stream deck, having a stream deck does not, and not using it does not turn you into trash. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get into using it. I'm sure I'll get into using it. Thanks, man. When I work in late, I used to work for a company where I was an animator for a couple, like three or 4 years there, and I kind of became like super into doing special effects, 2D special effects stuff. So like lightning, smoke, electric fire, all that good stuff was like really kind of my thing to do. And lightning was like so much, like electricity, so much fun to do because it's so sporadic. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for tonight. 1:45 here in the morning here on the East Coast. Uh, so here's what I progress on that. Got him all done. Got the Night Avenger all done here. Gonna try and do these more often. Couple nights a week at least. So hopefully, Nomadic Gnome, thanks for joining me, man. Thanks for all the questions. Keep me company. Hopefully you and some more people can join in. Thanks again for hosting me on your channel. You're the best. But I'm going to sign off from here. Thank you again, and have a good night, guys. Thanks.